What's up, wrestling fans, trading card collectors? Welcome to another episode of Wrestling with Cards. Today we're looking at a card from 2013. Should you invest in this? Should you not? Is this a modern-day legend that we're seeing before our eyes? Or is this another flash-in-the-pan modern wrestler that won't live up to Hulkamania? Today we're talking about 2013 Charlotte Flair Slam Attax from Topps. It's a gaming card. It's Charlotte Flair. Let's stick around and find out why I like this card. Most wrestling fans are familiar with Charlotte Flair at this point in her career, but just in case you're not, here's a quick rundown. Second generation wrestler, daughter of Ric Flair. She started training in 2012, so that being her first appearance, if you don't want to count the May 15th, 2000 Nitro appearance she was on. 2014, she went on to compete in NXT and win the Rookie of the Year for the PWI. She was promoted to the main roster in 2015. The rest is history. So let's look at a few aspects of this card and why I think this is a good purchase. We're going to start with being first card. In any sports, trading cards, Pokemon, whatever you're into, that first card is something that people are always seeking out. It may be the rookie card, it may not be the rookie card, but it's the first card. To my knowledge, this is the first Charlotte Flair card that ever came out. And sure, it was in a gaming set, not in the flagship release. Still the first card. So let's look at the next aspect of why I think this is a good purchase, and it's kind of weird, is that it's a gaming card. Now, we've seen an explosion recently in a lot of wrestling, some other sports stuff, some Pokemon, whatever, of cards that are kind of from obscure things. So promotional items, items that were in food containers, items that were on the outside of boxes that you had to like cut out to then put in a card sleeve to be considered a card. And I would categorize gaming cards in that same aspect. Topps Slam Attax does have a following. I wouldn't say it is as big a following as, say, like, trading card games, Magic, Pokemon. I don't even know if it maybe was as popular. Well, actually, yeah, it's probably more popular than the old WWE Raw Deal game. There's been a lot of wrestling card games, and actually this probably, as far as gaming goes, might be the most popular WWE physical game that I know of. If you guys know of another physical card game that's more popular that WWE produces, let me know in the comments. But this is it's an official Topps product just in the gaming card format. So one really good correlation I want to talk about is the Rock 97 Cardinal card with this card. Now, is Charlotte Flair the Rock? Absolutely not. But here's what I want to talk about. We saw an explosion with these gaming cards, like I said earlier, and the Rock just kept slowly climbing. It's still climbing. We've seen the same thing with Steve Austin, seen the same thing with Triple H. And the reason why I think those cards are going up, specifically The Rock, is because it's the first WWE, or F at the time, first WWF physical card that was produced. He had some magazine cards, but I don't think those came out until 98, and then he also had the comic images. So that 97 is technically the first appearance, first card, call it a rookie card if you want, doesn't matter, first appearance card. So the Charlotte Flair here, it's a gaming card, just like The Rock. First appearance, just like The Rock. And she's gone on to be one of the biggest drawing female stars in wrestling history, in my opinion. Another aspect of the gaming cards that you need to consider when looking at these is gaming cards generally are like an offshoot of the flagship brand. So most people would be like, oh, I want the Topps Chrome NXT first appearance card of Charlotte, which is a good card. Or I want the Undisputed first auto of, okay, well, that's a fantastic card too. But this is the very first appearance, and being it's a gaming card, very condition sensitive, because most people that have these cards are playing with them, just like Magic, Pokemon, whatever. So I got lucky enough to get this in a BGS 9. I was very stoked. If you can get this in a good grade, same thing with The Rock, any of those trivia cards I was talking about, that's one thing that really stands out about these gaming cards is they're so condition sensitive because they're used to being played. So if you get a high grade, that puts even more of a rarity, scarcity value on that card. Another aspect of this card to talk about is that it's an NXT branded card. So what I've seen recently a lot is people seem to want to go with NXT first cards over Topps flagship first cards. That's weird, kind of like baseball with Bowman. So that'd be like people preferring Bowman over flagship Topps. There are some cards where you do want that, but then there are some cards where you want that flagship release. But with these wrestling cards, everybody seems to be gravitating towards these NXT first cards. So this would be her first card ever, and the first card with the NXT logo on it. So for that crowd, this would be the card to own. And then even if you want to look back further, we look at the FCW set, the Seth Rollins, the Roman Reigns, the Jon Moxley in those sets. Those are getting way more money right now in the market than their first NXT card even. So again, people are constantly looking for that first card. It might not be the best card, might not be the most valuable, but the market's responding with they want to dig and find that first card. The other thing with a lot of these cards is they're very hard to find. The FCW cards, a lot of these gaming cards, they're not as liquid as, say, a flagship release. So it's another rarity scarcity value in this specific card that I'm talking about today. Next aspect I want to talk about this card, maybe you don't want to talk about it, but I do, the Gary Vee Effect. Everybody knows Gary Vee's effect on sports cards. He starts talking up a specific player, a specific brand, a grading company, whatever. They start going up in value based on his track record of being an entrepreneur, a successful one, and what he thinks about these cards. In this specific case, Charlotte has signed with Gary's agency, Vayner Sports. And we've seen Gary talk about wrestling cards. We've seen him at wrestling events. He's constantly talking about wrestling, even modern stuff he seems to enjoy. Because everyone should enjoy wrestling. I know differing opinions on modern product. That's for somebody else to talk about, I guess. Or me on another show. But anyway, Gary has this huge following on social media. I'm sure all of you guys know. He's a relentless promoter. Anything he believes in, he's got passion about, he's going to push it. So with Charlotte Flair being the first pro wrestler to ever be signed to his agency, do you think he's just going to let that sit on the side? I don't think so. So if he can continue to push her like he pushes everything else, sky's the limit for Charlotte Flair in general, which then pushes this card's value going up. Let's talk about the legacy of Charlotte Flair. What? Legacy? She's not even been in the WWE very long. She's not even been wrestling very long. Well, when you stop and think about it, she hasn't been in there that long, but she has accomplished a lot. Now, I know you could say, oh, it's the bookers, it's the writing team. You got to have the talent to be in that spot to begin with, though. So let's just look at a few aspects and achievements that she's hit. In just 8 short years, she's become one of the biggest female wrestlers of all time. She's broken down barriers. She's hit levels that nobody could achieve. She won the first women's Royal Rumble match. She became the first woman to participate in a women's Hell in a Cell match and headlined the same pay-per-view of that same said name, Hell in a Cell. She was the first ever women's wrestling champion at WrestleMania 32. She's the only woman to ever hold the Divas Championship, the NXT Women's Championship, the Raw Women's Championship, and the SmackDown Women's Championship. She's starting to follow the train of her dad. Probably the biggest feather in her cap is being the first woman to ever headline a WrestleMania. Amazing. That's a lot of stuff done in 8 years. I bet you didn't think she's done that much once you stopped and thought about it. If Charlotte Flair never does anything again in wrestling, I still think she's a bona fide Hall of Famer. But you look at this card and you're like, okay, it's not serial numbered, it's not autographed, it's not shiny. What is it? Why would anybody want this card? Because it's the very first card of a bona fide superstar Hall of Famer breaking down barriers for women's wrestling, and sky's the limit for this card, in my opinion. I also think this card could appeal to women of other sports. Maybe you're really into the women's soccer team and you're like, I want to support women that have done things that nobody else has done. But this is the card to own right here. This represents all of those things. Hopefully I brought you guys some awesome information with this video. Give me one of these and hit that subscribe button if you do. And until next time, hit the videos on the screen, leave a comment, share, and I'll see you there.